In this example, we're going to build a DTD for our business card. So here in Aptana Studio or whatever editor you're using, go ahead and open up the example snippets.txt file and scroll down to Chapter 9 for document type definitions. In the folder for the Chapter 9 example, open up the BusinessCard.xml file. All right, here's where we're going to define our document type definition. So let's go ahead and in the business card, we're going to type angle bracket doc type business card, and then an opening square bracket, and we're going to hit return and then do a closing square bracket. Okay, that's where we're going to put the inline definition of the DTD. And so for the first exercise, we'll include the document type just directly here in the file, and then we'll see how to associate an external DTD with our XML file. So let's save. Let's go to the snippets, and let's copy the first line here for business card. And up here in the document type, let's go ahead and paste that in. So you can see that now I'm declaring an element, and the element name is business card. And business card elements can contain other elements. In this case, it contains a name element. It can contain phone elements. And because of this plus sign, remember, that means one or more. So you've got to have at least one, but there could be more. And then there's an email element, which is followed by a question mark, which essentially means that the email element is optional. It may or may not be there. So if I go ahead and save and then right-click here, if you installed the XML developer tools in Aptana Studio, you'll find that you have a menu item here called Validate. And if I choose Validate, you'll see that the validation completed with no warnings. Let's watch what happens when I take the name element out. I'm going to take this out and save, and now I'm going to choose Validate again. And this time you can see that there was an error. So I'm going to click OK and then mouse over this little red X, and the error says the content of element type business card must match, and then it shows me the element content model there, name, phone, and email. So because the name is missing, and I didn't follow it by a content population modifying character, that means there has to be one of those present, and there isn't one. So I can undo this by typing undo, putting the name back in, and then when I save and revalidate, you'll notice the error goes away. Okay, let's continue. So let's go ahead and copy the declaration for the name element, and we'll put that in here as well. So now I'm saying that the element name can contain parsed character data. So watch what happens if I try to put an element in here. If I try to put an element like, say, phone, and I'm going to close that off as an empty tag. Now when I save and I validate, you'll see once again there's an error. And when I mouse over it, it says the content of element type name must match null. In other words, you can't have elements in here. All right, so I'll take that back out. So far, so good. And I'll revalidate to get rid of the error. Okay. So now I've got two element declarations. I've got business card and name. Let's go get some more. Let's copy the element and attribute list declaration for the phone. So I'll copy that, paste that in. So now I have an element declaration for the phone tag. The phone tag can contain parsed character data, which you can see here. I've got numbers in there. And I'm also defining an attribute list. So the attribute list has a declaration for the phone element, and I'm declaring that there's a type attribute, and that the type attribute can be one of these four values. I'm also saying that it's required. So in other words, every phone has to have a type. So let's save, and let's exercise this. Suppose I change the value of the mobile type attribute here to something like, say, cell. And I'm going to save and right-click, choose Validate. You can see that there's an error. I'll mouse over it, and you can see attribute type with value cell must have a value from the list, mobile, fax, work, and home. So it's validating my attribute here against this content list, and I'm in violation, so I will just copy mobile and put it back in there, save, revalidate to clear the error. Okay, so far so good. It's also required. So if I take the type attribute off and save, I should now get another error. And sure enough, I do. And you can see attribute type is required and must be specified for element type phone. All right, so far everything's working as we intend. So I'll save, clear the error out. All right. And then finally, there's the email element, which is parsed character data. All right. And we can see that the email element is optional, right? Because of this question mark, I can have 0 or 1 of them. So if I save and validate, you'll see that there's no errors or warnings. If I take this out, save and validate, there's no errors or warnings because it's optional. But if I put in more than 1, save and validate, you'll see that there's now an error. And the error is that I've got too many email tags. You can see that it says the content development type business card must match name, phone, and email. All right, so I'll take off that extra one, save, and revalidate to clear the error. All right, so that's all that's involved in declaring the doc type for our business card. Now, in this particular case, we've declared the document type to be in line with the XML data. And that's perfectly okay. You can do that, but this gets impractical when you want to hand out XML documents that are non-trivial, and especially when you want to hand out multiple XML documents. You don't want them all to contain the document type because if the document type declaration ever changes, then you've got multiple places to change it. So what we're going to do next is declare it as an external document type and then associate it with our XML file.